They say the pines don't just listen, they watch, waiting for the silence to swallow you whole. The forest breathed around Alara like a living beast, its boughs pressing close with whispered breath and needle-tip shadows that danced on her skin. Each step she took sank softly into the moss, cool, damp, and fragrant with earth and rot, like walking upon the lungs of forgotten creatures. The air tasted of pine resin and cold iron, bracing yet suffocating. Above her, the sky was a fractured mosaic of twilight, veins of bruised indigo bleeding behind swaying curtains of darkened leaves. It was as if the woods themselves exhaled sorrow, pulling the dusk into its folds, folding light into darkness until shapes lost themselves in each other's edges. The cabin stood hollowed and hunched, a worn relic swallowed by branches that scraped ragged scars across weathered shingles. Its rough-hewn timbers seeped sap like veins of amber, sticky and sweet with an ancient bitterness that clung to the tongue long after it was forgotten. Alara's fingers passed over the splintered doorframe, rough and trembling, its texture sparking memories. Her grandmother's hand slicing herbs in a kitchen fragrant with time and secrets, a soft murmur threading through stories told at the edge of firelight. But here, in the shadow-cradled silence, those nerves thrummed with unease, as if unseen eyes traced her every movement, watching from the periphery. Inside, stale air clung thickly, pressing against her lungs with the faint but unmistakable scent of moss and something fouled beneath. Old wood rotted in the faint coppery tang of rust. The floorboards groaned softly under each tentative step, like slow breaths from a beast beneath the surface. The walls warped inward, adorned with faded wallpaper peeling like curled leaves, their edges mottled with damp, as if capturing sighs trapped and fading in endless cycles. Darkness pulled in corners, viscous and slow, crawling upward as though eager to swallow more than light. A sudden chill brushed her neck, a whisper threading through the silence, a rough gust or a breath too cold for the room. Alara froze, senses sharpening. The pines outside rustled with a sinister cadence, not quite wind, a murmur just beyond comprehension. It tugged at something fragile inside, an old ache, long buried, like the scent of her mother's linen sheet folded with lavender and aged hopes, unraveling in this place where time bled thin. The cabin's single window fluttered, rattling loose, a soft cascade of dry pine needles onto the floor, crunching beneath her bare feet. A shadow flickered, too fluid, too deliberate to be cast by the dying light. Alara's breath quickened, the taste of nervous salt on her tongue. "Who's there?" she called, voice threading a fragile bridge over the oppressive quiet. Only the whisper answered, a breath exhaled from the pines themselves, a susurrus curling like smoke in her ears, hollow and coaxing. The edges of the room seemed to melt, a slow unraveling of shape and substance. She stumbled back as the air thickened, voices, faint, fragmented, rippled like echoes trapped in cobwebbed wells. They spoke no words, intelligible yet carried weight, heavy as soggy earth, urging, beckoning, warning, warning. Her skin prickled, hairs rising like the bristles of a cornered animal. The cabin shifted imperceptibly, the floor tilting like a tipped scale, fragile and uncertain. The shadows undulated into vague shapes, limbs stretched thin, faces flickering in and out, emerging from the decay like wet leaves dislodged by death's slow fingers. A memory crawled unbidden, a childhood afternoon drenched in sunlight and laughter, the forest a playground of safety, now warping into a landscape of questions without answers. Desperation lanced through her veins. She clenched the knot of worn leather around her neck, her grandmother's talisman, cold and rough, the carved runes faint beneath her fingertips. "Leave me be," she whispered, voice breaking, the words trembling like brittle twigs in a storm. "I won't belong to the darkness." But the pines only pressed closer, their whispers thick like honey, sweet, suffocating, spooling into her mind, threading through synapses with cold intent. Suddenly, the cabin's interior contracted, the walls breathing inward as the shadows coalesced. A form took shape, tall, slender, and impossibly fluid, its features a tapestry woven of bark and dusk, eyes hollow wells that drank the light. It extended a hand, gnarled like twisted roots, beckoning with silent promise. Alara recoiled, but a strange pull tethered her gaze, heart hammering a fracturing rhythm of terror and irresistible longing. Touching that hand, rough as weathered wood but warm beneath the skin, a crack splintered through her mind, a floodgate of memories and whispered fears. She saw ancient trees standing sentinel as generations passed like wind, saw faces etched in knot and grain, sensed a hunger older than her blood. "You cannot leave," the voice thrummed, less a sound and more a vibration beneath her ribs. the pines watch all. The pines remember. A scream strangled in her throat as the figure dissolved into a swirl of swirling needles and shadows, leaving behind a silence thick and oppressive. Alara sank to the floor, breath ragged, the talisman pulsating cold against her palm as the cabin seemed to exhale a long-held breath. The night stretched interminable, the pines' whispers lingering, a chorus beneath the scrape of branches, beneath the shudder of leaves, beneath the slow pulse of her own fragile heartbeat. Dawn edged timidly, pale and hesitant, washing the woods with a light too weak to banish the watching dark. And somewhere deep within, beneath the scroll of bark and earth, a truth settled cold and unyielding. The forest never forgets, and those it watches are never truly alone. Do you dare listen to the whispers beneath the pines? Step closer, but remember, the woods never forget what they see. Follow if you crave the slow unraveling of reality.